Jose Salvador Alvarenga woke before sunrise on November 17, 2012. He drank black coffee in the little shack he rented in Costa Azul, Chiapas, Mexico. The air smelled of salt and diesel. He pulled on torn jeans, a size too big, slipped into rubber boots, and walked to the beach. Ezequiel Cordoba was already waiting, 22 years old, skinny, smiling, ready for his first long trip with the boss. Jose slapped his back. Today we get rich, muchacho. They loaded the white fiberglass ponga, named El Capi, into the water. 24 feet long, open deck, small cabin the size of a closet, 175 horsepower engine. They threw in 400 pounds of ice, 500 hooks, coils of line, 100 gallons of gasoline, 4 5-gallon jugs of drinking water, cookies, rice, eggs, sardines, and a single handheld radio. At 10 a.m., they pushed off. The sea lay flat like glass. They ran 25 miles offshore. Jose killed the engine. They baited hooks with chunks of bonito and dropped 3 kilometers of long line. Sharks hit fast. Hammerheads, silky sharks, a small tiger. Ezequiel laughed every time a shark thrashed beside the boat. Blood turned the water pink. They filled the ice chest until it overflowed. By 2 p.m. the sky changed. Clouds stacked black in the north. Wind whipped whitecaps. Jose smelled the storm before it arrived. Jose told Ezequiel to pull the line fast. They hauled sharks aboard, cut them loose from hooks, threw ice over the bodies. The first raindrops hit hard as stones. The engine started once, coughed, started again. Jose turned the bow toward land. 20 minutes later, the engine exploded with a bang. He lifted the cover. The crankshaft lay in 2 pieces. No spare, no vuelde, no chance. The wind screamed now, 40 knots, 50. Waves rose 10 feet, 15, 20. The little boat climbed walls of water and slid down the other side. Water poured in faster than they could bail. Jose tied a rope around his waist and the steering wheel. He tied Ezequiel beside him. Hold on, brother. Just 5 hours and it passes. The storm lasted 5 days. On the 3rd night, a wave flipped the boat sideways. Everything loose flew. Water jugs, ice chest, food, radio antenna. They righted the boat and clung to the roof. Salt water filled their mouths, noses, ears. They vomited seawater. Ezequiel cried for his mother. Jose sang church songs he half remembered to keep the boy calm. On the 5th morning, the wind dropped. The sky turned clean blue again. They looked around. Nothing. No lange, no sheeps, no barges. The coast was gone. The current pulled west. The engine sat dead. They had half a jug of water left, a few rotten sharks, and 1 knife. Jose painted big black letters on the cabin roof. Help SOS. He tied a torn orange shirt to the broken antenna. They waited. The sun burned. Skin blistered and peeled. Lips split. Tongue swelled. They drank 1 small cup of water each morning and night. Jose caught rainwater in the empty ice chest when clouds came. He made Ezequiel drink first. They ate raw shark sliced thin and dried on the hot fiberglass. The meat tasted like ammonia. They forced it down. At night, they lay back to back for warmth. Sharks circled under the boat, bumping the hull. Jose talked nonstop to keep fear away. He told stories about women in bars, fights he won, lies about money he never had. Ezequiel listened, eyes wide. Week 3. Water almost gone. Ezequiel started shaking. He said he saw his village at night, lights on the water. Jose slapped him. That's madness. Look only at me. They caught us sea turtles. Jose flipped them on their backs, cut the throat, drank the blood warm and thick. Ezequiel vomited the first time. The second time he drank. They ate the liver raw. It tasted of iron and grass. Jose's beard grew wild. Hair covered his eyes. Sores opened on his legs from constant salt water. His ankles swelled to twice normal size. He could not stand straight in the low cabin anymore. He crawled. Month 2. No chips. No planes. They drifted out of normal fishing zones. Ezequiel stopped talking. He stared at the horizon all day. Jose carved the first notch on the inside wall with his knife. One mark for each sunrise. He promised himself he would reach 100 marks, and then rescue would come. He reached 100. Nothing came. He kept carving. Month 4. Ezekiel refused food. He said worms crawled under his skin. He scratched until he bled. Jose tied his hands with rope at night, so he would not hurt himself. Ezekiel begged to die. Jose held him and cried into his hair. One morning Ezekiel lay curled in the corner and would not move. Jose shook him, shouted, poured turtle blood on his lips. Nothing. On day 190 Ezekiel's chest stopped moving. Jose sat beside the body 3 days, talking, apologizing, promising to take him home for burial. Flies came. The smell became unbearable. On the 4th day, Jose kissed the boy's forehead, said the only prayer he knew, and slid the body into the sea. He watched it sink and screamed until his voice broke. Now only Jose remained. Silence pressed harder than any storm. He spoke aloud every hour or he felt his mind slipping. He named the sharks. The big tiger shark that followed for months he called El Diablo. He told El Diablo his sins. He told the stars at night and asked why. Some nights he held the knife to his own throat. Only the face of his daughter Fatima stopped him. She was 9 when he left El Salvador. He had promised to return with money for her school. That promise became the single rope tying him to life. He learned new ways to live. When storms came, he tied himself tight and opened his mouth to the rain. He caught jellyfish and sucked moisture from the bells. He bit the heads off small fish that jumped aboard at night. He ate barnacles scraped from the hull. His fingernails grew long and black. His teeth loosened. Gums bled. He pulled 2 rotten teeth with pliers from the toolbox. Blood filled his mouth for hours. He swallowed it for the iron. Month 8. A container ship appeared on the horizon. Jose's heart exploded. He stood on swollen legs, waved a red shirt, screamed until veins burst in his eyes. He found the last drops of gasoline and lit plastic on fire. Thick black smoke rose. The ship kept its course. Lights blinked in the distance and vanished. Jose fell to the deck and beat the fiberglass with his fists until they bled. That night, he tried to hang himself with the anchor rope. The rope broke. He laughed like a crazy man at the joke God played. Month 10. He saw land that wasn't there. Cities of white buildings, cars driving on water. He heard radios playing love songs. He argued with Ezekiel's ghost. The ghost blamed him. Jose begged forgiveness every sunrise. He began steering with a broken or whenever wind allowed, trying to push north. He read the clouds. High cirrus meant wind soon. Low black meant storm. He watched bird flights. Some birds flew out only 50 miles. When they disappeared, he knew he was still too far. Month 12. His body shrank. Skin hung loose on bones. He looked like a skeleton wrapped in leather. His belly swelled with starvation edema. Urine turned dark as coffee. He drank it twice when no rain came. The taste almost killed his soul, but he lived. He caught a seabird that landed to rest. He held it gentle, stroked its feathers, then bit the neck and drank blood still warm. Feathers stuck to his beard. He cried while he drank. Day 400. He stopped believing land existed. He prepared to die. He wrote a last message on the cabin wall with shark blood. Fatima, I love you, forgive me. He lay down to wait for the end. Day 430. Birds again. More birds every morning. Frigate birds, boobies, terns. They flew low. Jose's heart started beating hard for the first time in months. He stood, legs shaking, and scanned the west. Nothing yet. He paddled with a broken or all day and night. Hand bled. Blisters burst and bled again. He wrapped them in cloth torn from his shirt. Day 437. Night. Moon almost full. Jose woke to a new sound. Not the endless slap of waves on fiberglass, but a deeper roar. He stood and saw black shapes against the moonlit water. Breaking waves. Reef. Land. He screamed. No voice came, only a dry croak. The current pushed the boat faster. Corals scraped the bottom like knives. The boat, lifted on a wave, crashed over the reef and slammed into sand. Jose flew forward, hit his head, tasted blood. He crawled over the side into knee-deep water. His legs gave out. He kissed the sand, rubbed it on his face, cried without sound. Morning. Smoke rose between palm trees. He tried to stand and fell. He crawled up the beach, leaving a trail of blood from coral cuts. Two men in lava-lavas appeared with machetes. They stopped, stared at the wild animal crawling toward them. Jose raised one shaking hand. Ayuda! Poor favor. The men dropped the machetes and ran to him. They carried him to the village on Ebon Atoll. Women brought green coconuts. Jose drank until he vomited pure coconut water, then drank more. Children touched his matted hair in fear. He slept under a roof for the first time in 438 days. They counted the marks he carved. 438 lines. They found a photograph of Ezekiel still taped inside the cabin, faded but smiling. They flew him to Majuro. Doctors said his organs were failing, but his will was steel. They fed him tiny spoons of soup. His stomach shrank to the size of a fist. In Hawaii, the American doctors shook their heads. Impossible, they said. Médicalement impossible. Jose only smiled. When the plane landed in San Salvador, his mother ran across the tarmac screaming Coco Loco, like when he was a boy. His daughter Fatima, now 14, walked slow, unsure. Then she recognized the eyes and ran into his arms. They held each other and shook with tears. Some people still call him a liar. He shows them the boat in the museum, the 438 marks, the scars that will never fade. He visits Ezekiel's mother every year and leaves money on her table without words. He built a small concrete house with a tin roof. He never eats fish. He cannot stand the smell of the sea anymore. Yet every evening he sits on his porch and watches the sunset over the volcanoes, alive when every law of nature said he should be dead. The ocean almost won, he says quietly. But I was more stubborn than the ocean.